Hey gang, Bronco Carl 92 here. So tonight's project, I have a 2008 Explorer 4.0 V6 that is overheating. I'm going to show you what I found and how we're going to fix it. So stay tuned. Alright, so this is my nephew's 2008 Ford Explorer. It's got a 4.0 V6 in it. His overheat light came on yesterday while they were driving, and the fan seemed like it was on high, no power. As you can see, coolant tank is empty. Radiator, empty. So I had a quick look, and the thermostat housing over here obviously has been leaking for a while. I don't know if you're going to be able to see, but if you actually look down in the valley there's a lot of coolant residue from this thing leaking for a long time. So I've got a new thermostat housing. The truck has 128,000 miles on it. We're going to throw a new water pump and a new serpentine belt on it. So let me get you set up, and we'll get going. Alright, so I went on the Advanced Auto Parts website last night, and with Speed Perks, I got 2 jugs of pre-mixed antifreeze, got a new CarQuest water pump with a lifetime warranty, I got a Dorman thermostat housing assembly, and of course I got a new serpentine belt. Now, this thermostat housing here, it's basically the whole thing. It's pre-assembled and has a thermostat inside, and it comes with the O-ring that goes on there and the O-ring for the coolant sender. The water pump has a gasket. So I actually was looking on the internet for discount coupons, and I've managed to find that if you Google advanced discount, I got 30% off on this stuff, as long as you're a Speed Perks member. So I managed to pick up all this stuff for the same price that if I got it from Rock Auto, but I didn't have to wait for it. So anyhow, let's get the truck apart and get started. All right, so to get started, we're going to remove the whole thermostat assembly. We're going to take this hose off, this hose here, and there's a hose down here, and of course this electrical connection. Just pop that off, and I think we can wiggle it out of the way of this wiring. We'll see when we get there. So the weapons of choice, stork pliers to get the hose clamps off, and a ratchet with an 8mm to unbolt the housing from the engine. So apologize for any background noise. I don't know if it's going to be windy. It was beautiful all day, and of course when I come home to do this, the weather gets crappy. Of course, the bottom of the clamp is stuck to the hose. There we go. It's loose. It may not be necessary to remove both of these clamps, but I'm just doing this to get everything undone. The hose is off. And actually, while I'm here, I'm just going to take it radiator. Now I also want to mention that these clamps actually have a locking position on them, so if you actually get them past the point of the lock, they'll stay loose like that, and then when you go to put them back on, you just push down on that and they'll pop into place. If the hose feels a little stuck, one of these comes in handy. Let's get a little hook in here. Just kind of work your way around the hose, being careful not to pierce it. Same thing with this hose. Come off nice and easy. Get your finger caught in the hose clamp. My glove didn't rip, that's amazing. Clamp doesn't have the override feature. Out of the way now. And of course it looks like maybe not. We can slip this into the wiring. It's pretty nasty. Alright, good. Okay, so our radiator's draining. It's just basically a 3/4 inch or 19 millimeter plug on the driver's side of the radiator. We're going to let this drain out, and I'm going to start to take off the fan clutch. Okay, so this has an electronic fan clutch right here. So there is I guess a magnetic contact in here that would engage the fan clutch, and it's held in place so the wiring doesn't spin by this bracket here. So we need to remove this 8 millimeter screw here and this electrical connection and pivot it out of the way so we can get a wrench on the fan clutch. Some more wind, sorry for that. So I'm basically just going to position this as far down as I can so I can get my wrench on this nut here. So you take your fan wrench, it's a 36 millimeter. Basically just goes on this nut, and of course you can see that you're going to be able to push that pulley. So what you can do, let's position this over here. I take a wrench, a hammer, and I smack the end of the wrench as I'm pushing in that direction. This is reverse thread. And just like that, There really isn't much torque on it when it's tight, because I guess as the engine's spinning, it's going against the fan clutch anyway. If we can sneak this out. I'm just going to put it inside the fan shroud instead. It's actually out of the way there. Okay, so next we're going to remove the cert belt and the pulley, and then we'll pull the water pump off. Okay, I always make mention in my videos, make sure that there is a belt routing diagram. If not, get a piece of cardboard or a piece of paper and draw a diagram. Otherwise you might go crazy trying to put the belt back on. So basically on the tensioner, just engage it, lift, and remove the belt. Okay, our radiator seems to have slowed down to a dull drip now. Next we're going to take the water pump pulley off. So you take a pry bar and stick it in between one of the bolts and the hub. Knock your socket off. Now, when you put the replacement water pump on, the threads actually have a protective sleeve on it. I would recommend leaving that on there so you don't jack up the threads on the hub there. I'm sure someone will comment about that. The pulley comes off. Next we'll remove the lower hose and the lower bypass hose, and we'll unbolt the water pump. Alright, so the water pump's got 12 volts holding it on. I took 11 of them out already. And this is the last one on the top. I guess a little bit of coolant that was in there just spilled out. Get some cat litter. And find that bolt. And fish the water pump out. Alright, so here's our new water pump gasket. I like to spray it down with Permatex High Tack. Now, what I did was, I took the gasket and I figured out which side goes against the pump, which would be this side, and we're only going to put adhesive on the one side. That way, if we got to take this thing apart again, we won't be having to scrape it off the engine. Alright, we'll let that set up for a minute. And then we'll stick it to the water pump, and we'll get the water pump in place. Okay, so here's our original water pump. I mentioned the vehicle has 128,000 miles on it. The hub here is actually starting to get some play in it, movement in it. It's feeling a little loose. This pump isn't leaking, but I felt that if we're going to have the cooling system apart anyway to replace the thermostat, that it only makes sense to replace this as a maintenance item instead of having to maybe mess with it in 6 months from now. So anyhow, let's get the new pump on. Okay, you may notice that I've removed the idler pulley here to ease in the installation of the water pump. Feed it down. And around this line. Man, it's cold. My hands aren't working right. And get a bolt started. Okay, just 11 more to go. All right, I'm gonna get these bolts in and then I'll put you back on in a sec. Okay, so all my bolts are snug. I'm gonna torque them now to 10 Newton meters, starting at the top. And, yep, good. Well, next you put lower hose on. And get our pliers. And then the bottom radiator hose. Okay, we've got our pulley in place and the bolts are snug. Now we're going to torque them. And these need to be torqued to 22 Newton meters. And like I said, I got a piece of plastic on the thread to protect. I'll put this hose back. I'm going to put the thermostat housing back in now before we do anything else. Sit tight. Okay, so here's our hose. I'm just going to situate this so I can get the clamps on. So that's the relative position it needs to be in. Now to make this easy, I'm just going to pop this out again. I'm going to put the clamp on here, and then put it back in place. Okay, next we'll put this back in place. Wiggle it around the wires. Get our hose onto the water pump like that. Swing this around. You can actually feel there's a rib on the back. It's now engaged on the intake manifold. Get the bolts threaded in. Well, I should mention I switched over our coolant temperature sensor. It's just a clip and it pops into place. That's not the right bolt, and that's the right bolt. Okay. And these also should be torqued to 10 Newton meters. Okay. Connect our temperature sensor. Let's position our hose clamp. There. Maybe we should put this on the nipple first. Said nipple. These spring clamps are kind of a pain in the ass. All right. Okay, so I'm going to just throw this pulley back on, and we'll get the belt in place and stick the fan back on. Okay, so we got the belt back on. Easiest way to do that is start at the crank pulley, go around the water pump pulley, come up this way, around the alternator and around the tensioner, and then you basically pull the tensioner down with the wrench and slip it underneath the idler. I have the thread started on this. Basically spin it on. And then you can just get this out of the way again. Last time, so you don't hurt anything. And then just take your wrench, and I would just give it 3 taps like that. I read on the internet people like to put Loctite on there. Bad idea. Like I said, the engine is spinning against the direction of it, so it shouldn't ever loosen up while the engine's running. You put Loctite on there, you're going to have a hell of a time taking it off if you ever have to again. So just re-secure. Single holder. Such an interesting arrangement. Plug that in. And then the upper hose is marked rad and engine. As you'll see, they have these nice little lineup marks. Take a clamp, stick it in place, and just do that, and it pops. If you want, be fussy, kind of reposition a little bit. Something here. That's it. All right, let me fill this radiator up and get her started up. All right, so everything's looking good. Got the overflow tank full, the radiator's full, and I'm just going to let it warm up now. And my battery's about to die. All right, so that brings this video to a close. Just got back from a road test. The heat's working fine. Engine temperature's normal. The system took 3 gallons of coolant. What I took out was about 1.5 gallons of coolant. System really was low from the leak, and that would make sense why it was overheating. So anyhow, not many special tools required, just a torque wrench and a 36mm fan clutch wrench, which you could probably rent from your auto parts store if you don't have one. Interesting note, when I was looking these parts up on Rock Auto, they directed me towards a 41mm fan clutch wrench, which I'm really glad I didn't buy because it would have been wrong, and I had a 36mm fan clutch wrench. So anyhow, from Advance, the parts ran $165. That was with the 30% discount code that I found online. And it was a reasonably easy repair. I'd say probably takes about 2 hours. So anyhow, if you like this video, please comment, hit the like button. If you didn't like the video, let me know why. And as always, thanks for watching Bronco Carl 92, and we'll see you again soon. Take care. Try this at home, folks.